Hello, and welcome to the first evening Coppice Dev stream. I say Coppice Dev stream, we're not actually going to be working on Coppice on these evening streams, or at least not on the actual app. What I want to use these streams to do is just work on a few other small projects. Some of them will be development focused, the first one will be, but I also want to sort of learn some other skills and stream me learning them. So initially we're going to be building a Mac app from scratch, then I'd like to start learning some motion graphics work, maybe starting learning something like Apple Motion or Adobe After Effects or something like that. So that is what these streams are. So welcome everyone to tonight's stream. For those of you who may not know who I am, I'm Martin Pilkington. I run a small software company in the northwest of England called M-Cube Software. When I'm not doing contract work, I like to work on my own app, Coppice, an indie app for the Mac that lets you collect all your thoughts, link them together, and lay them out on an ever-expanding canvas. So what we will do today is start building an app. And we're doing this pretty much from scratch. I had the idea for this app while I was going for a walk on Monday, before Monday's stream. And it's going to be a fairly basic app, but I thought it would be interesting to share it. It's mostly just going to be a small utility that I mostly just use myself. But I thought it would be something fun to play around with, give me the opportunity to learn a few APIs that I haven't used before, maybe even some Swift UI, we'll see. But before we get started, how is everyone in chat? I see Steve has showed up, so welcome to the stream, Steve. How is everyone else in chat? What are you up to this evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are, whatever time it is? So you're finishing off some new features, Steve, and pushing a build. Ooh. Oh, it's always fun to finish off some features. I'm hoping to finally finish off the features I'm working on Coppice, but this should be a nice palette cleanser. Flo, welcome to the stream. I am doing good. Hope you are doing good as well. And Mike, nice to see you getting viewers from South Africa here. So I'm more than happy to share the process. That's a large part of what these streams are about, showing what I do. And really this Wednesday stream, because some of the streams that I do during the week can be a lot of just staring at code, I'm hoping to focus these streams maybe more on the non-code side of it. Like I say, on the like building motion graphics and stuff like that. So it's just something that may be a bit more visually interesting. But as I say, first thing we're doing on these streams is going to be building an app. And when we're starting with an app, what we're actually going to start with is an Omni outline document, because I want to basically write down what I want this app to do. So this app is actually to solve a problem that I have with streaming. And that problem comes from music. The music that you are hopefully hearing right now. And at the moment, I have it set up so I have a playlist in Apple Music, and it will shuffle that music and repeat that music. Now, there are many problems with this. The first is that the audio setup to get music piping into OBS, which is what I use to actually stream this, requires me to use several bits of software. Now, I'm not going to eliminate those bits of software, but I'm going to make it a bit easier to deal with. So the first bit of software is something called Sound Source, which is from Rogue Amoeba, and it basically lets you channel music from certain apps to certain outputs. The other one is something called SWB Audio App. And what that does is it creates like a virtual input and a virtual output. And what that allows me to do is channel the music app to the virtual output and then basically set up a virtual microphone for OBS to read in to get the music. The problem there is when I finish streaming, I've got to remember to switch back to using switch music back to playing through my speakers rather than through OBS, otherwise I can't hear it. I also have issues where I want to automate a lot of my setup, and I would like to automate starting playing the music. The problem is, while in theory you can do that with something like shortcuts, it seems to be broken in music. But there are other things that I want to do. I want to be able to make this playlists a bit smarter, because some of the music that I have has vocals to it, and some of the music does not. And what I would like to do is to be able to mark which songs have vocals and exclude them from certain periods. So I want it to shuffle, but have a bit of smartness about it. For example, it's okay having those songs playing during the intro of my stream when it's counting down on the starting soon screen, but I don't want anything with vocals playing in that first bit when I'm going to start speaking. So in this intro bit after the starting soon screen finishes. So I want to be able to build up and almost like put chunks where I exclude these sorts of songs from appearing. So I want to build an app that allows me to do that. It allows me to just have this stuff where I pull the music in, add these things on, and it will just play it for me. So I can have a separate app that is always pointing for OBS, so I've not got all these issues, and it shuffles things correctly. The final thing that will be interesting to do is that I'd like to show what song is playing on the stream. Possibly have it appearing somewhere up here in the top. And for that, there are things you can get if you're playing through like Spotify or something, but what I'd like to do is have the app have a customizable output. So a screen that just shows you various bits of information you can display, like the name of the song or show the progress or something like that. And I want to make that somewhat customizable, and then it will display in a window, and I can just do an image capture, rather a screen capture of that window and just display it in the stream. So that is something I'd like to do. So what we're going to do is just flesh out what we want this app to do. So the first thing we need to work out is how are we going to store the music? Are we just going to have full access to the music library on your machine? Are we going to have it where you just drag the files in? I'm thinking, just so I can play around with it, have it where you can actually go and access the music in your actual music library and bring those in. That way we can start playing around with Music Kit, which I've never played around with before. So we need to bring, display Apple Music Library. Then we need to be able to say, okay, I want to create a stream playlist. So actually, we probably want to do this the other way around. You want to create a stream playlist and add music from Apple Music Library. So this could be adding just individual songs or copying in a full playlist or something like that. Then we want to play the music and have shuffle and repeat. Play pause. That should be enough. Then we want to have our ability to limit where things are. So we want to be able to instrumental section. So you can actually how advanced do we want to make this? Because I've just had an idea. So we could mark it where there's just a checkbox. Does this have vocals or not? But what if we made it a bit more flexible? What if we said, okay, you can tag songs. You can add tags to songs and you can say, okay, in this section, either include only songs with this tag or exclude songs with this tag. That could be an interesting thing to play around with. It would make things a lot more flexible. So let's do that. It makes it a bit more advanced, but what I'd like to do is, I'm not sure whether I'm going to open source this or just have this freeware, make it like just a small paid app or something like that. I haven't decided that thing yet, so we'll see how this goes. But what we'll probably do is, yeah, we'll have it so that you can, how would we describe this? Customize, stream sections. So what you want to be able to do is, in the stream playlist, you're going to have your stream sections. So, great. Stream sections, which are going to have a time and either an include or exclude list, and add tags to music. Because, for example, tags that we could add are the genre of the music or the artist and stuff like that. So you could just want it to purely be something from a certain album or a certain genre. You could even potentially do a certain beats per minute. Thanks for the follow, Belenix. Welcome to the stream and hope you're enjoying it. Let me know how you are in chat. So, you can create your sections and it basically, it's a smart shuffle in a sense. You can say, this time period, I want it to just be there. So it doesn't really make sense to have a shuffle and repeat. The whole idea is it's always going to shuffle. It's always going to repeat. If you don't want it to shuffle, you just use the music app. You just create it normally. Because these stream sections make no sense if you don't shuffle it and you explicitly put something in that order. It doesn't make sense. So this whole thing is almost purposely built to shuffle things. So play the music. We want play, pause, probably next and previous. And then we want our display. Now for the display, we want to be able to display, to customize what exactly is displaying. So we can potentially show the, what can we have? We want the song name, the artist name. If we just do that for now, potentially you may want time and total time. And then what you need to customize is, so we need data we need are these. And then what you want is the position, well, styling. You need to be able to set the position. You need to be able to set the size, the font, which include text color, alignment, and then what you probably want is background. But what we can do is, rather than position and size, let's keep this fairly simple for now. We'll get rid of all this, then do an MVP. So you want to be able to change the font, the text color, the text alignment, and the background. And that should really be everything we need for an initial pass through. So hopefully this should give us the ability to play around with a few things. We also want another thing, automation. So there are two ways of going about this, and I think the way I'm going to look at this, I could have a play around of, I've got a stream deck, could I play something there? But something that's probably a bit more useful for me to learn is build a shortcut. So build a shortcut that lets you set a certain stream playlist going, and you can pause, play, or whatever. So this is our basic feature list. Stream playlists, playing the music, displaying the data, and automation. So we've got 4 key things that we want to build. So what we probably want to do is have a think about how we want to have this look. So what I'm going to do is, if I over to linear and bring up my iPad, let's just do a quick sketch of what this could look like. So you're probably going to have, we can make this into a shoebox app. So a shoebox app is one that isn't document based, it just stores its data in a single place. So if we have our, oh, that is not a particularly good rectangle. That one might be. No. Linear can be a bit iffy. There we go, that's a bit more like it. Right. So we've got our window. So what we probably want is, we want our source list down the side. And this is going to be for our stream playlists. So you're going to have playlist 1, 2, and so on. Then what you want to have on the right hand side, you want to be able to have, so we need in here, we need to show all of the music that is in the playlist. Then we need to be able to style the playlist, because you may have different stream, like each stream playlist may have different streams, so you may want to have them styled differently. You may then, and you need to be able to set when exactly during the stream you want things to actually be excluded or included. So for the actual length of the stream, let's switch to a new layer just so that I can set that. What I'm imagining for the length of the stream is, you're probably going to have something that goes like this, and imagine it fading off, and this is going to be at 0. And then what you're going to be able to do is like click on here and then drag a section here. And that basically sets a section in there. And then we can have a popover. And in there, what we need is a start, an end, and we need our rules, which is either going to be include or exclude. So you're going to have start, end, and your tags is going to be probably a a pop-up that says whether you're including or excluding, and then your actual tags down there. Or because you may want to include, because songs can potentially have multiple tags, maybe you want it so that you include everything with a certain tag, maybe an artist, but you're excluding things that have vocals on. So maybe what we actually want is include exclude. Have your token field there. One second. Right. So that could be quite a fun thing to build, because you're clicking and dragging, and once you have that in there, so the question is, how long do we make this? What happens when you start moving along? So maybe rather than clicking and dragging, maybe we have start, end. So it's a fixed thing, and this isn't editable. Like, you can click on the sections once they're there, but you have this stuff here, and what you can do is there's a plus button. When you click the plus button, if you do, then the popover comes out the plus button. You edit the stuff there, and then if you want to edit it, you click on there. So that lets us build a custom control, popovers, some stuff there. So got quite a lot of stuff going on. So that is useful there, and that gives us a nice compacting there. So let's just hide this now. In terms of our display, what we probably want on the actual songs, what we're just going to want is there. We're probably just going to want a table view, and this is just going to have stuff like your title, artist, and so on. But then you want tags, so that you can actually edit your tags on here. So you can see these are the songs in here, and then you want to actually switch from this to this view. So maybe what we want have a thing. Because this is for customizing your, like, the sections of your stream playlist. Actually playing, we probably want some controls up at the top somewhere. Actually, that is an interesting spot. What if up here? That is our play area. And what we can have is this is where we actually get do we want the display up here? Probably not. We probably want the display to be in an external window. If we have the display in an external window, that means it can be set to a certain size specified by the thing. So what we probably do want is a tab system, because we need to be able to tab between the actual thing. So what we'll probably do is at the top we'll have here but if you have the stuff at the top, we can have all the songs at the bottom. So we can have songs and then display and do it that way. So yeah, I think that works. And for display, we can work that out when we get to it. For this, want a play. So you set up your song, you configure everything. Press play. So maybe this should actually be a sheet. So when you actually see it, it's going to show you the playlist. We can have some sort of table. So if I add this, so we can have a table, but what it's going to do is maybe it is going to show the list, and you can either show it just as your list's going on, and then after a while it will mark this as being in a certain section where certain things are not allowed, and then you go back to here. So this is the playlist that will actually play, and at the top there can be like a reshuffle or something like that, where if you start playing the playlist, it just reshuffles it, or you can manually reshuffle and it'll do all the shuffling for us. So that is a lot of potential there. And then you have a sheet comes down that lets you configure it. I mean, then you could do something really cool where you could have this, the height of the rows could be somewhat dependent on the length of the song. So you could actually have a visual representation of it moving down through the playlist. And you could actually see time-wise where these sections are. That's something that we could play around with a bit. It shouldn't be too difficult to do that. But yeah, so I think that gives us a good idea of, let's just like gone through, you've sketched out some of the features that you want, you've sketched out some ideas for the UI just in a rough form. Now for something like this, we can actually just start building it, because there's a lot of stuff that is fairly basic that we can build. We can build our stuff that just lets us add playlists to a sidebar. We can define our data model for some of this. We can then start working on adding music to a playlist and then just getting it playing through. Have it where you start playing and get the music out. So I mean, if we aim to do that and get the basic stuff done today, where it will just let you add music in and let you play through, and the playlist just, maybe it's in alphabetical order. That is how it's sorted. And then we can maybe just have it sort randomly. Once you have it in a list that you can play, sorting isn't too big of an issue until we start getting more complex. So I think we will go about that way. So if we switch back here, now we have the most important part of any app: creating it and coming up with a name. So, does anyone in chat have any suggestions for names? I mean, I've been thinking something along Stream Song, something like that, Streamline, because it's designed to let you build your stream playlist and have these things in. So I'm trying to think of a potential name, or even something that is just a good temporary name, a code name, something along those lines. I do think Streamline is potentially good. Also, Uli, so the high level thing is, it is for creating a playlist for your stream, but it's designed to be a separate app. So at the moment I have a playlist that's playing through Apple Music, and there are numerous problems. One, the automation stuff does not work, like shortcuts and all stuff like that does not work with Apple Music, so I want to get that working. The other one, I always have to configure Apple Music to basically route through several things to get to OBS, and then I've got to remember to turn that off. So if it's a separate app, I can configure it to route through OBS, and I don't have to turn that off afterwards. That app is just for streaming. And the other two things I want to do is, one is all of the stuff like doing this smart playing, where you can have sections of time where you want to include or exclude songs. So that would be quite useful, for example, when my stream starts, to be able to just exclude anything that I have tagged as having vocals in it, and just for a period of time it won't include those in the shuffle. So working through stuff like that will be interesting, and then finally having some sort of display that you can then capture in something like OBS using a window capture and display on the stream. So something along those things. So the sound stream, melody stream. Sound stream sounds a bit. I'm sure there's a sound stream. Melody stream, I'm not sure there is. Now there may be a melody stream at the moment. Backing tracker. Yeah, I think Stream Tunes, again, it sounds, there's probably something like that. I mean, I could reuse an old name, but it doesn't really work with, doesn't really convey the streaming, which is Minim. I have an old app called Minim that I could reuse the name for. Streaming Plus Plus. I think that is not really giving the sense of the music side of it. It's like wanting to configure display the music and MIDI. This is always the hardest bit. Orchestream. Could even have an orc as the icon. I mean, there's stream conductor, that sort of thing, where you are basically conducting what the stream should be like and what it should actually flow like. This is always the hardest bit. When I was coming up with a name for Coppice, I had a massive spreadsheet full of things and then ended up using none of them. What we'll do for now is we'll just pick a name. Let's just, I'm going to pick Streamline for now. It's not a good name, but the fact that it's not a good name is a good thing to pick as a temporary name because it means that I'm not going to stick with it later. So, if we do this, I'm going to do this fairly basic. Do I want to include tests? No, this is going to be a quick and dirty, like small utility app. I'm not going too over the top with this. We can always add them later. Language Swift, interface, Zibs, because I'm going old school with everything. So, next, save this. M-cubed apps, folder, line, create. Okay, so we have Streamline all set up. What I need to do, first of all, is go up power and add Streamline to my apps. Delegate repository. Did I forget to create one? I have oh, I forgot to create a Git repository in it. Okay. Streamline, and as always, initial commit. Get that in there. Right, so the first thing we want to do is let's create a new group model, and in here we're going to create our model, which is going to be stream, and we could just call it a playlist. Ah, yes. Thanks, Uli. I can size that. So that should now appear there. Let's increase the size of this a bit. Right. So, as playlist, and we're going to have a var name string playlist. Okay. what we also need is a model controller. Next, we want, we're going to create ourselves a window controller. Now we don't technically need to, we can potentially do this on the app delegate, but it's always good to have, because we're only going to have a single window. It's still always good just to create controller. So NS window controller, and we are going to create our main window controller. Also create our nib. Right there. Group from selection. Right, main window. We're going to leave model up at the top. Yeah, really, it's very much, if you do this, it helps limit your app delegate. In fact, what we need to do here is delete that. Delete that. So in here, what we're going to do is name window streamline. Right. Then in application. Can't remember which it is, whether it's fact. Go to my app delegate. Application should handle reopen. That's what I want. What I'm going to here is let your controller equal your controller in this case we're going to do main window controller oh it should go window true believe no return false because we want to have this. We'll have that there. Got our build there. So hopefully what should happen is we should have our window appearing. Build and run. What's that? Set up. Fine. Okay, we do not. So open untitled file then. No, it's not that. That is good. Okay, let's just stick it in. Launching f.main window controller dot show window self. That definitely caused it to work. Days as here. Interesting. Oh, I know why it's not working. Because we need to go into here. Window nib name. I think. Can't remember whether that is an actual thing, but main window controller. Complain that it's yes, so it is just a type def of a string. There we go. Streamline the spinning. So, first thing, for anyone who's never built a Mac app before, you notice the window appeared down here. So the first thing we want to do is make this window appear somewhere useful. So what we're going to do is go into our nib, bring up our inspector, and select our window. And let's select the window. Okay. So this bit here says where it should appear, and it does an initial position X, Y based on where it should be. Now you can make these fixed from the left, from the right, proportional. Generally what I do is I center horizontally and then I do proportionally vertical just a bit above center, so that, well, if I build and run, it should now appear. Oh, not. Save that. There we go. So it appears centered horizontally, and it's just slightly above. The slightly above is just personal preference. Some people, like where it shows up is like almost a bit of personal preference. I always prefer for a window to try and have it center the screen but up a bit. So that is our window coming up. I think we have an app. Let's get it on the App Store. Rather, let us go here. So the next thing we want to do is actually start displaying our sidebar. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to make this a bit bigger. Now we could throw all of this in the window, and if this was like a super like quick and dirty app, we would just throw everything in the window. But I don't want to just do a super quick and dirty app. I want to do it something that potentially can be turned into a product that I'm going to maintain long term. So what I'm going to do is create a split view. Create a split view in here. What we want to do is create a scene divider. Actually, check something. How did I do this in Coppice? I don't think I used a split view in the window. Document window. No, so the window doesn't have anything because the window controller has a split view. Okay, so turns out we're not going to do this. So that. Oh, that's why. Right, 1 second. I forgot about that. There we go. The cursor's showing up correctly. I always forget Adobe Photoshop has this weird bug on macOS where when you are hovering over something, it causes the cursor to go ridiculous. Like it doesn't maintain it when the cursor changes. And this made me like incredibly frustrated when I was building Coppice, because I was building stuff where the hover state changes on the cursor, and I was like, why is this not working? I've done all this stuff. I actually went through and wrote loads of workarounds and stuff to like really try and force the cursor to be the correct thing. And then I realized I had Photoshop open the whole time, and that's when I learned about this bug. So I've always got to remember that when I'm having issues with the hover, especially when I'm testing my own code, to make sure I've quit Photoshop, because that messes everything up. And I have no idea why. I have no idea how they're managing to mess it up, but it does. So what we're going to do is delete this split view. And instead, in here, we are going to add split view controller. Oh, have a look at a split view controller. Oh, really? I've managed to wean myself mostly off Adobe software. All I have now is Photoshop, and I use Typekit for the fonts. So that's all I really use for Adobe stuff. When I start doing the motion graphics stuff, I know some people like really recommend After Effects as being great for that, but I'd like to see if I can get by with Motion, because it's not like my primary thing and I'm not going to be using it all the time. Motion's a lot cheaper. It's like $50 versus $20 a month. So that's something that I'm going to try and avoid Adobe there. So we'll see how things go and see how powerful it is for what I'd like to do. So yeah, we've got our split view controller here, and what we're going to do is we are going to create ourselves some more view controllers. So what we want is S controller, get a nib as well, and for this what we want to have is this is going to be our playlist list view controller. We will new group from selection, playlist list. Now let's add another one, which is going to be playlist build. And group that. Playlist detail. Okay, so we're looking fairly good so far. So when window did load, what we're going to do here is this one, let's just throw a table. I want to bother. Now let's do a plain table now. Zero, 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 and 0. Okay, then over here what we're going to do is let playlist list let's add our playlist list controller. Okay. So we're going to set up our split view. So the first thing we want to do is split view controller dot dot divider thickness no divider style equal dot thin. Self dot position controller dot split view dot vertical. Oh, true, because it's whether the splitter is vertical. Yes. So it's with any split view, the is vertical is always the opposite of the way you think it is if you've been used to things and you're using things such as stack views, where if you mark them as like vertical, then they're stacked one on top of another. Whereas on a split view, is vertical means the dividers, which means that the views are stacked horizontally. At least that's what I believe it is. Split views are one of those things that you do very early in the project and then hopefully never touch again. So what we're now going to do is create our split view items. So list split view item, view item. Sidebar with playlist and list view controller. And then we're going to do our let detail item equals and then split view item. Yeah, we don't want content list, we just want a plain view controller. List details view controller. Then on split view item, what do we want? List split view item dot minimum thickness equals, let's say 150. List split view item dot maximum thickness equals a, let's say 400. Oh. No, actually, I think being the sidebar, it automatically sets some sound things. Hi, Finite. Welcome to the chat. Happy Wednesday to you too. We used Stream early. I didn't see. I've been pretty busy all day with contract work. But if you were streaming earlier, how was your stream? Oh, your stream went well. That's good to hear. Oh, how did your presentation go? Because yesterday, weren't you going to be presenting the app that you're working on stream to the clients? Oh, you gave it today as well. Oh, well, it's good to hear that it went well. It's always good when a demo goes well. Yeah, it's good when you can focus on not being in person. I mean, thankfully, I don't need to be in person that much with my own contract work. It's more just it's a fully remote company anyway that I'm contracting for, so everything is done through like online messaging and emails and like Zoom calls and stuff. So it works works pretty well for me because I'm very much a work remote and just sit in my office, music blaring, and focus on what I want to focus on. So we have this setting up the split view, so hopefully this should set things up for me. Yeah, it does help if I add the split view to the window. Self dot. That might actually. There we go. So we set the split view controller as our contact view controller. We now have our sidebar, which now has a minimum that is a standard, but yeah, it works with the show hide sidebar. Now this doesn't look like a sidebar at the moment, just yet, but we're going to do some work on it to make it look like that. So actually we're about halfway through and I just need to go get another drink. So I'm going to step away for 2 minutes just to refill my glass of water, and when we get back, what we will probably do is I think add a toolbar so we can have a show hide sidebar button and an add button at the top, and then we can start getting this sidebar implemented where you can add and remove and rename and potentially even reorder playlists. So we will do that when I get back in just a few minutes because I just need to run down and fill my glass of water. So see you all in a few minutes. Okay, so I have a fresh glass of water, so let's get back into this. So what we're going to do, as I say, we're going to add a toolbar up here so we can get things working for a show-hide sidebar, get an add button, get this styled properly as a sidebar, and hopefully working. And if by the end of the stream in about an hour or so we can get our toolbar and sidebar working, then I'll be pretty happy. Oh, Carmen, thanks for following and thanks very much for subscribing with Prime. It's much appreciated. Thank you very much. Hope you are enjoying the stream and hope you're well today. So let's have a look here, our main window controller. So we're going to add our toolbar in here. And I'm hoping we can do this entirely in the nib. But I can't quite remember if that's possible or not. It should hopefully be, because I'm not having to support macOS Catalina, which changed a lot of stuff with toolbars. So unfortunately I am okay. Okay, so set it as navigation. Right, let's. What do I have? Coppice. Load item. Under, I add bar item, space toolbar item, search, fonts, colors, print. I just add a regular toolbar item. No, you can't actually add a sidebar tracking, which is rather annoying. Okay, so what we're going to actually do is delete all these, and we're going to do this in code. Because I want a sidebar tracking separator. So what we can do here is we'll do file get main window toolbar delegate. This is the useful thing. Can potentially just change the identifier, Steve, but it's worth a shot. See if it would work. So let's add a toolbar item. We add a toolbar item. So this is toolbar item. Change the identifier afterwards, only on create. No, it's item with identifiers. That's really. I'd need to know what the sidebar tracking. So if we go in here, let's just set a breakpoint and run. Because we have some standard ns toolbar item dot sidebar dot identifier dot sidebar tracking set. Okay, so we can use that, and then there is a sidebar ns toolbar toggle sidebar item. Okay, let's see if this works in our nib. So we're going to add some more toolbar items. So we have a toggle, and then let's add a another toolbar item. So this is going to be add playlist, or rather new playlist. Playlist. And let's add template. Sidebar. Left. Bar. Sidebar. And then right in. I believe I want those to be navigational. Want this to be, and we just have that just be a plain toolbar item. Make it NS comp. Right, and then we want another toolbar item, which we want to shove in here, and this is our this toolbar is not going to be customizable, so we should hopefully be able to get away with this. So if we add that down there, we add toggle sidebar down there, we add sidebar tracking, add this. Okay, let's build and run and see what this. Okay. What is on? Yeah, that is not doing sidebar tracking. So we're going to have to do this in code. Thankfully, it's not too difficult to do in code. So we will delete all of these. And have our delegate there. So what we are going to do is object is our main window toolbar delegate. And from the toolbar, select up the delegate. Oh, that's a fair point. Do we? Yeah, so we can't do it this way because we are going to need the split view. So instead what we're going to do is in here, set up our toolbar. So in it, split view. Oh, that is just there. And what we are going to is set up the split view, then set up toolbar. Let toolbar, toolbar delegate. Oh, actually, okay. So toolbar delegate split view equals self dot split view. Okay, so setup toolbar is just going to be self dot toolbar dot delegate delegate. Easy. So here our split view. We are going to create our item. So first item. Now these are going to have to be lazy vars because reference self on something. So new playlist item. Lazy var toggle sidebar item. So our item is the NS toolbar item identifier. And a neat trick you can do with this is if you do an extension NS toolbar item identifier, the static collect new playlist equals NS toolbar item identifier, and then you've got to add your raw value, but you can do your identifier we don't need toggle sidebar just yet because that's going to be a standard one, but what you can now do is just do new playlist there, and it hides all of this ugliness up somewhere else. So you can have all this. I have this in Coppice here, where I have all of my things up here, but then down here we have when we create them, we just have new page, new canvas, and so on. So it's quite a nice way of just tidying up your code a bit. So, for our item, what we want to do is item.label playlist item.outLabel equals item.label item.image equals s name. No, we don't need a symbol. Named s and item. Item identifier is going to be toggle sidebar. Turn that. It might actually do that automatically for us. Okay, so what we now want is extension here, and we're going to implement our toolbar delegate. So implement NS toolbar delegate. And of course they're all optional, so I don't get any completions. So let's see what is in NS toolbar delegate. Want default allowed, allowed item, default item, and item for identifier. Allowed items, default item, identifier. Okay. So allowed item identifiers, we are going to return got new playlist dot toggle sidebar dot sidebar tracking separator. Gonna then new playlist of our dot sidebar tracking separator. Well, actually, I have done it in Coppice. Oh yeah, we also want dot spec. Done custom toggle toggle sidebar space new identifiers one. Okay, so that's not a space, that's a flexible space. New playlist item at 401. Oh, other sidebar tracking separator. Our sidebar tracking separator. And what we're just going to do is lazy var other item. Item equals toolbar item identifier just toolbar item dot label bar and then let's come. An item. Bar and bar. Right. So here, I'm going to switch on item identifier for case. New playlist. Then self dot playlist item. For case dot toggle sidebar, we're going to turn self dot toggle sidebar item. The case dot case toolbar. Gonna. Oh, actually, can't do it that way. Bar. Toolbar. We can't use string. Compiler must have all that type information. Right. Self dot other item. Case dot sidebar tracking separator. We're going to just return. Are we? An NS tracking separator for item identifier. Sidebar tracking separator with the split view stuff dot split view at divider index 0, index 1. And default, just going to return an NS toolbar item identifier. The item identifier. Okay, so hopefully our toolbar should work. The hope was in vain. Okay, what has gone wrong here? Self.window set.toolbar set delegate is set. Okay, so let's have a look in our delegate here. That should be called, that should be called, and that should be called. But they are not. Curious. Very curious. Get it. No, it's not at Objective C, Steve. Lego Jedi. I'm setting it in code here, so it calls the method here. So the Windows set, the toolbar set, and I'm doing self.toolbar delegate equals delegate. That should. Because if I, yeah, so we're creating our toolbar delegate, but it's not. Oh, I think I know what may be going wrong. I'm going to copy this window control. I bet I know what is. Yes, I don't think it's the delegate. I think it's the toolbar. Toolbar from here. What we're going to have to do is create it in code. All this would have been so much easier. We could have done this all in Interface Builder, if Apple had just updated Interface Builder with this one thing. Like, do all this work to make sure that your toolbars work in the new mode, and like, but you haven't done all the work to make sure that we can make our toolbars work in the new mode. It's not even the identifiers. You need the identifiers plus a few other things because it needs to be able to point to the split view and so on. So thankfully, creating a toolbar is pretty simple. And this is instructional for anyone who ever needs to do this. Just name this main bar. You just create your toolbar. Auto-save configuration true. Toolbar dot allow user customization false. Not going to allow that. Toolbar dot display mode icon only. And then we're just going to do self dot window dot toolbar equals toolbar. I didn't hook up the delegate in the nib earlier because we need to create it here in code, because this needs to be created after window did load is code, because then we set up the split view and we need the split view to actually create the split view divider. So what we can do is just get rid of that chaining there. So now this should hopefully work. I believe what was going wrong before is because it was created in the nib, it wasn't hooking things up correctly. So there we are. Now these are getting cold. Okay. We still have some issues here. Build and run Coppice. I'm going to show you what I want to have having happen. Oh, I wonder if... I wonder if it's because our sidebar isn't full height yet, and that is what's causing it not to work as I expect. But yeah, here we have a new page in Coppice that is on this side of the sidebar. If I collapse the sidebar though, you see that they match up against one another. So it could be because of this, and that there is our sidebar separator. So if I go into right, I'm trying to work out Coppice how I got the sidebar being full height. Now it's not in here, so I'm assuming it is going to be in the actual sidebar controller. Create the split view. But I could probably, if I search for 10.6. Oh, make it full size content, don't we? Would help. Full size content view. There we go. So our plus button now appears there, so we hide. So that is looking a lot more like what we want. Okay, so our toolbar is done. So let's commit did basic toolbar. So what we're going to do now, yeah, the full-size content view is what allows it to stretch up, because if you haven't got full-size content view, the whole split view divider makes no sense, because it goes completely above the toolbar, just stays completely above. When you go full height, it extends into the toolbar, and you can see here that the toolbar on this bit only extends to there, but this actually scrolls all the way up and beyond. So what we can do now is start messing around with our playlist view controller. What I'm actually going to do, make this a private set, and from add stuff.playlist.pen playlist. Waitable. Index of playlist else turn stuff.playlist at index. We've got create playlist, we've got move playlist, build of. So we do that, go get our playlist there. So what we can do now do a singleton for the model controller for now, and then in here what we want in model controller, we're going to do init, and then we're going to do self.create playlist times. Oh. Right, so what we can do here is figure out our table view. Want that to be full width. Want view base. Do not want headers. Not want resizing. Style source list. Highlight source list. Website Select OK. So what we can do, our table cell, we'll create a class for our list table cell. So ns table cell view, list table cell view. What? And there. New for playlist is playlist. It's set after data self dot text field dot string value equal playlist dot name or don't need draw there. What we're going to do here is set this to a playlist table cell view. Identifier is going to be playlist cell match have in copy. I do. There's no point doing that. I'll actually show it you on stream. I have this really cool, very small protocol and extension that if you are creating your table cells, for example, here, I have cells for my canvases. I believe that is... Okay, so that's... Oh no, because I think those are in a collection view. What I probably want source lists. I'm using it somewhere because it is such a useful thing. Page selector. So if I bring this up, so I've got a table view here for the content and the header and the dividers, and these all implement this table cell. And what I can do is set an identifier on it, set a nib on it, and it has some convenience methods here to register and make view. And it allows me to do this by type. So if I go into the data source, when I register, I can register a cell by just passing in the actual thing that conforms to table cell. And then when I create the table cell back here, view for table column, I can do make view, pass in the type here, and it avoids all of the issue of having to do the cast. So it's all fully typed. You don't have to remember the identifier or the nib or anything like that. It all pulls it in. So that is just a neat little extension. Bit of generics in the protocol, and it makes dealing with table views a lot easier. This could easily be brought over to work on iOS as well. Could work pretty much the same way, but it's just a nice little utility I found. It's one of those things where occasionally all these things like protocols and generics, you can get them working for something very simple like this that is a massive quality of life improvement. It's the little things like that that make me love Swift, where you get those little things where you can create something simple and it helps you simplify something else. But we don't need that here because these are created in the nib. So what we are going to do because this is not going to be very complicated, we're not going to create a separate data source and delegate. The data source is just going to be the file's owner. And the delegate is going to be the file's owner, which is our view controller. If this was going to be a lot more complicated class, I would probably move these out to separate things because it's a bit easier to unit test them and abstract them away and reuse them and so on. Table view data source. Delegate. So we want number of rows in table view is going to be model controller.shared.playlist.cat, and that should be everything we need, because then we want view table view for that, and we're going to table view dot make shoot with identifier. No. Oh, see you later, Uli. Hope you have a good night, and no worries. I mean, the stream's only going for another 10-15 minutes, however long it takes to get some of this finished, but thanks for coming along, and hope you have a good night. Right. I'll view else now do cell dot playlist model controller dot shared dot playlist go cell. So hopefully this should work for us, and it does. So we have quite a lot of players here. So now let's hook up our plus button. So what we're going to do here is item dot action on the. Now, even though I'm not hooking this up via interface builder, I still always do RB action for stuff like this, just because it makes it a bit easier if I do end up wanting to use this at some point. But RB action function add playlist. What we're going to do is model controller shared dot create playlist. And you'll see why I've done this in a second. I'm going to set the action to select main window controller dot new playlist, and what we want to do on model controller, publish this. What combine for publish? No. What we're going to do here is set up some subscribers. set up our key for model controller playlist. And in here, do subject.subscribers.playlist equals model controller dot shared dot dollar playlist dot sync self about actually no on main.sync. The reason we need to do this is that combine was not written particularly well, or rather it was written very well, it was just written very well for the SwiftUI teams and Apple's purposes, and therefore it published fires on will set rather than did set, because apparently it makes stuff easier for Apple and SwiftUI. The problem is, for everyone who isn't developing a UI framework like SwiftUI, it would be infinitely more useful for it to fire on did set, because then you don't need to do tricks like this. Because when it changes, we want to call reload data. But the problem there is that reload data goes and fires stuff there. So, actually, we need a outlet for our table view. We can actually call reload data. Oh, not table view, but reload data. So now, as per usual, we'll combine. But what this should now give us is, as we click the button, we get playlists appearing. So what we want to do next is, when you hit the delete key, we want to remove a playlist. And actually, I think what we might do playlist.name equals new playlist playlist.count 1. So we can actually see these getting added. And we can see that we are deleting the correct one. So what we're going to do here is awesome. Cannot remember Bonder. Don't think it's perform key equivalent. Mental target action. I think do command by selector. So we'd maybe have to use some. If I go there. I don't believe. Have this here. Hit delete. That does delete. Now, I don't have that set up. So where am I? Delete key. Oh. Okay. I forgot NS3 controller response to key down. God let special key equals dot special key else dot key down with event return. Just copy. Don't want that. Want get let row equal table dot table view dot selected row. If row is greater than equal to 0 and row is less than of playlist, then row color dot shared dot playlist. Oh, we could just do remove playlist at index. Let's stick with what we got. So table that. Right, move playlist. There we go. Got add. Got remove. You know what? Before we go, let's try one last thing. Private font. Insert playlist. Text. Let index text self dot playlist dot insert playlist at index else self dot playlist dot append playlist. And what we're going to do here is self dot insert playlist. Now, the reason we've done this is that what we can do here is ns yeah is dollar dot on what we can do here, I believe, is undo manager dot register target self handler what we're going to do is model controller dot move playlist, and down here do undo manager dot register undo target self get rid of model controller in. The reason we have the insert is that we are now going to do self.playlist insert playlist at index. Now what this should hopefully do is I can delete 4, delete 2, and then I can undo, redo. Right, so not doing wait, undoing that, but it's not redoing. Where is it? I delete that. Yeah, so it's inserting it back in, but then not thing. Right. What have I done? Register and undo action. Insert. Right, that should be automatically doing undo redo. What this is doing, get the action name, do that. So Coppice model controller. Undo manager is passed in from. How about the test? Yeah, that manager there. Manager. Oh, because we're doing self.playlist.insert. It needs to be model controller.insert. Right, that is why. At index. Okay, so we're gonna add, we're gonna delete, undo, 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 redo, redo. I think for 2 hours, coming up with our feature list, creating the app, basic data model, and adding our toolbar, first start of the UI, and adding add and delete with undo redo for those is pretty good going. All we'd need to do left on this bit on the side is being able to edit the cell to rename the playlist and potentially drag and drop to rearrange. But we can look into that next week, next Wednesday, when we'll be doing some more work on this. So I'm hoping to work on this every Wednesday for a while. We've got through a fair bit. I think getting the renaming is probably the most important bit. We'll get that done next week. Then we'll get to the bit where we start actually displaying stuff over on the right hand side, depending on the playlist. So that will probably be displaying the songs. So you'll be able to add songs to the playlist and actually get them playing. So hopefully we can get that done next week. So I think what we're going to do now, let's have a look, see if there is one we can raid. I believe there will be. There's one stream I found, but unfortunately they're in Spanish. You know what? The following. You know what? There's someone else who I follow who's actually streaming some Elden Ring. So what I think we might do is go give them a raid, because they usually stream at this time and I've never actually been able to raid them before. So I think what we will do is go and raid some Elden Ring. So I want to thank you all for coming to the stream. This has been quite a fun experiment. Hopefully you've all learned something or just enjoyed your time watching a new app being created from scratch. So we will see how this goes in the future, building this up. We may even get this all the way to potentially shipping the app as a second app for my company. So it could be fun to do. Something that's built from scratch on the stream all the way to shipping. It'd be quite a good series. So as we are going to raid, I want to thank you all for coming and hope you have a good day, evening, rest of the week until the next Coppice Dev stream on Saturday at 2 PM UK time. Hopefully you can join me there. But until then, happy coding.